Okay, so in this part of the review, we're going to be looking at the conic sections. We're going to be classifying our conic sections where we may have a parabola, we may have a circle, or we may have an ellipse. Okay, so one thing to consider is you want to look at your variables. If you have an x squared and a y squared, all right, and they have the same coefficient, such as number of 25, they both have a 1, then we know we're going to have a circle, okay? If you have an x squared and a y squared and they have different coefficients, then you're going to have an ellipse. Now, just real quick, let me show you on 26 that you have a y that is squared, but the variable x is not squared. This one is going to be a parabola, all right? But let's go ahead and take a look at number 25, okay? So it's x squared plus y squared minus 2x plus 6y minus 6 equals 0. We have our x squared and a y squared. They have a coefficient of 1. It's the same, so we're going to with a circle. But what we are going to have to do in this equation is we're going to have to complete the square with both the x and the y variable. So I've written it with the x's together, x squared minus 2x plus y squared plus 6y equals 6. So we're going to have to complete the square here. So x squared minus 2x. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1, so we're adding 1. And when we factor this x squared minus 2x plus 1, we get x minus 1 squared. Now, the y variable, y squared plus 6y. Well, half of 6 is 3, and 3 squared is 9, so we're adding 9. And when we factor y squared plus 6y plus 9, we get y plus 3 squared. That was the half of 6, okay? But we added 1 to the left side, and we added 9, so we actually added 10, so 6 plus 10 is 16. So there you see our equation, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if the r squared is 16, then we know the radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. So we go ahead and graph it. We know that our hk is positive 1, negative 3, over 1 down 3. We know our radius is 4, so we have 4 to the right, 4 up, 4 to the left, and 4 down, and we can draw our circle. All right, now let's take a look at number 27. All right, so number 27, we have a negative x squared plus 2x, and then we just have plus y plus 1 equals 0. So you can see the y is not squared and the x is, so that's where we're going to end up with a parabola. All right, now I'm going to leave the y plus 1 on the left side over here, and then I'm going to move the negative x squared plus 2x to the right, and it's going to be x squared minus 2x. All I really did was add x squared to the right side, canceled it on the left, and added it to the right, or I just moved it over and made it the opposite, okay? And then I left the plus 1 there. So now you can see that this is our, going to be our parabola that's vertical because the x is what's being squared and the y is not. We just need to finish out this equation. So on the right here where I have x squared minus 2x, we need to complete the square. Half of 2 is 1 and 1 squared is 1. So now it's written x squared minus 2x plus 1. All right. Be sure you add 1 to the other side as well. 1 plus 1 is 2. So now it says y plus 2 on the left. And when we factor this x squared minus 2x plus 1, we get x minus 1 squared. So that's our equation. X minus h squared equals y minus k, or the 4p times y minus k. Now, you can see that the 4p is actually equal to 1. If this was in parentheses, we would put a 1 here. We don't have to do all that, but you can see that 4p from this equation, 4p equals 1. So p then is 1 divided by 4, which is just 1/4. So from that information, we can determine what our focus is, okay? Our vertex is at 1, negative 2. We get that from the equation. Opposite of minus 1 is 1, and the opposite of 2 is negative 2, so we have 1 minus 2. So if our p is 1/4, we're going to be adding 1/4 to the negative 2 value, which is the y value of the vertex. So negative 2 plus 1/4 that's just going to be -1 3/4, or we could write it as -7/4. You see I've calculated it here. Okay, so that is how you take this equation and put it in a parabola equation form, go ahead and graph it and determine what the focus, the vertex, the focus are. All right, let's take a look. Actually, let's go to number 29. Okay, there's a lot going on this one. All right, let's see. We have 25x squared plus y squared plus 200x plus 2y plus 376 equals 0. All right, so we do have an x squared. The x variable is being squared and the y variable is being squared. They do have different coefficients. We have a 25x squared and a 1y squared. That's how we know we're going to have an ellipse, okay? So I've written out the equation over here, put it in order so that I can work it out. You see the 25x squared plus 200x. We can factor out the 25 there. That leaves us x squared plus 8x. And then we're going to need to complete the square here. Half of 8 is 4. So we'll be adding 16 here, but actually it's 16 times 25, which is 400. That's what we're going to have to add to the right side. But then the y variable, y squared plus 2y, we're just going to complete the square of that part. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So all we're adding there is 1, but we have to add it to the other side as well. So that's what all of that line represents. Now, when we factor x squared plus 8x plus 16, we do get x plus 4 squared. That's the half of 8. But it does have that factor of 25 that we're multiplying by. All right, but then when we factor y squared plus 2y plus 1, we just get y plus 1 squared. All right, and then when we combine 400, when we add 400 and we add 1 to negative 376, we get 25. All right. But now, because we understand this is an ellipse, we need to set it equal to 1. So we're going to do 25 divided by 25, but we have to divide all of it by 25. Okay. Now the x plus 4 squared had a factor of 25, so when we then divide it by 25, we actually just get 1. So now it says x plus 4 squared. The y plus 1 squared is divided by 25, so we just keep that as divided by 25, and then of course 25 over 25 is 1. So now you have your equation in an ellipse form, and you can see that the longer of the two is the a squared, which is 25. Therefore, and the b squared is 1. Okay. From that information, we can figure out what c is. It's a squared minus b squared, so that's 24. C squared is 24. C then is the square root of 24. Or we could write that as 2 square root 6. And we use that to identify the foci of an ellipse. Okay. We know the center is at HK, so -4, -1, -4, -1. The vertices, which is the endpoints of the longer axis there, so that's going to be -4, and then we call it -1 plus or minus 5, because the a squared is 25, so a is 5. So basically we're adding 5 and subtracting 5 from that -1. Okay, so -1 plus or minus 5. Now the foci is at -4, -1, and we're also going to be adding or subtracting, but it's the c value. Well, the c value is 2 square root 6. So we could write the foci as -4, -1 plus or minus 2 square root 6. That's a look at number 29, which was an ellipse. Another example,